So promptly, perhaps something to do with the fact that you're allowed to carry booze into the premises, I don't know, but I'm sure that helped. But I'm sure also what helps is the fact that you enjoy the first half so much and are desperate to hear the second half. So without any more ado, I'll hand you over to Daiva, who's going to tell a story from a country that I've got a lot of fraternal feeling for, Lithuania.
Thank you. Yes, this story is based on Lithuanian folklore, and as quite most of our traditional tales, it begins like this. Over the 9 seas, over the 9 mountains, in the 9th kingdom, there lived the king. And he had the only child, smart, curious, shining wee lass, and her name was Yore. And king loved his daughter dearly, and even twice as much, as her mother, the queen, was no longer with them. Yore was a very active child. She wouldn't sit still unless someone would tell her stories, and she loved stories. But also she loved riding on her horse, and she would go across her country, and she knew every corner of it. And her life was full of adventures, wisdom of stories, and beauty of songs. And in general, this kingdom led quite prosperous life. But something happened. Something has changed. The land hardened and emptied. The rivers got imprisoned by the thick ice. And people, when they noticed that there was no fresh water left in their wells, heavy, dark clouds of despair, sickness, and death hung over every village. And the messenger arrived with the news, and he told that the reason of this disaster is the dragon. Winter dragon that settled down in the holy mountain with the 9 streams of fresh water, giving beginnings to every river, every lake of the kingdom. But now the flow is blocked and the water is frozen by the icy breath of the dragon. And the dragon told this deal, and the deal is that he would release a stream for a day for a maiden. To this king could not agree, so he sent his army to kill the dragon. And this dragon, fierce, blue icy hurricane, he was fighting back those courageous and talented soldiers, and the sharp swords cut the neck, and the head of the dragon bumped down on the ground. But that very same moment, 3 new necks with 3 fierce heads grew. And the battle continued. And again sharp swords cut, chop, chop, all 3 necks, and 3 heads bump, bump, bump on the ground. But guess what? Yes, exactly. 9 necks with 9 heads grew. And the army retreated. The king had this massive headache with a white, wet and cold towel on his head. Surrounded by his advisors, he heard this voice he loved so much. Don't you worry, father. I volunteer. I am going to be the dragon's maiden. No. If you are going to be the dragon's maiden, who is going to lead this country when I am gone? And the king told his daughter to go back to her rooms, and the guards were put at her door. But Yori, she was smart, and she was curious. So that very night, she sneaked out of the castle. She jumped on her horse, and off she went, riding through the white fields, frozen forests. Finally, she arrived at the holy mountain. Yori thought she heard the snore coming out of this black mouth of the mountain. And she cleared her voice and she started to sing. Auga putin su šermukšniu ryto ratuto, hei ryto rytėlio ryto ratuto. Ryto rytėlio ryto ratuto. Vienas kitų prisiaugo ryto ratuto, hei ryto rytėlio ryto ratuto. Ryto rytėlio ryto ratuto. Wee cheeky melody squeezed through the tunnels, bouncing off the rocky walls, found the way to the ears of the dragon, and the dragon woke up. And one of the dragon's head was very, very attracted to this melody, so the dragon emerged out of the cave to look at this noisemaker. When Yori finished her song, the first head of the dragon asked for more. Sure, but that's enough of singing. Would you like to hear my favorite story instead? Story? Sure, tell me the story. Tell it me now. Yes, I'm going to tell it now. If you are going to release one of the streams. Now. And his head blew the fire out of its mouth and melted down the first stream, and it ran freely. Then Yori told her story, and then she was finished. The second head was quite into it, and this head asked, "Do you know more stories?" "Oh, I know plenty of stories." Tell them all now." All right, I'm going to tell you all my stories, but here is the deal. I tell a story for a stream each time. To this dragon agreed. So Yori told all the stories she could remember. Some of them she even made up on the spot. And 8 streams were running freely. But the last stream, the biggest one, most important one, that gave the water to the biggest river, was still blocked. And this last head of the dragon, 9th head, was still cross as lemon. And Yori realized that she's out of stories. She could not come up with anything. What I'm going to tell? And then she started to tell something that came first out of her heart. And she told about her mother, about her sweet, protective lullabies, about her magic tales, about her big, loving, kind heart, and how much she misses her. And a wee, shining tear appeared on the cheek of the 9th head of the dragon. And he sighed, and together with it came out the warm breath that found its way to the last stream and melted the ice. And now all the 9 streams were free. You are a very special girl. Who are you? Asked the dragon. I'm Yori, the princess, and I'm your maiden. So here I am. Now you can eat me. Well, I wish I could. After I heard all these stories, I'm afraid I can't eat you. So what's going to happen now? What are you going to do? Well, he said, I don't know. I used to be Winter Dragon, but now I don't know who I am. And what should I do? And Yori had an idea. She said, why don't you come with me to the castle? Huh? And Dragon thought for a little bit, and he agreed. And off they went back home to the castle. And as they were going home, they saw that the snow was melting down. The ice on the rivers began to thaw, and the first snowdrops appeared. King was over the moon to see his daughters back, so he put on a big festival. And Yori had a plan for this festival. She announced about the special guest with unbelievable program. And guess what? Who that special guest was? No, that was not the Winter Dragon. That was now Storytelling Dragon, whose 9 heads could tell stories, sing songs, and make fireworks at the same time. King that night looked at his daughter, and he was very proud. And his heart was full of happiness and assurance that better times have arrived and will stay for longer. And